about raising funds, and it's also about raising awareness, imparting advice, and hearing from inspirational speakers, and that's what we've got up next for you tonight.
I'm Kenny B. I'm a DJ stroke one of the members of Voices of Cancer team.
I'm Spinner, aka Jeffrey. I'm part of the team. I'm also a DJ.
Well, the ball is originated from an idea my sister had about 3 years ago. The reason for that is because she was actually fighting breast cancer. May her soul rest in peace right now. She actually passed away 2012 Christmas Day. So basically the Voices of Cancer is her legacy, to hence why it's still going forward.
My part in it is it was a good cause because my uncle died of cancer, bowel cancer, so I thought it was a very good idea that Sister P brought up that we do this event, and hopefully we can make it more regular each year as it goes along.
Clara White, and I'm the Senior Fundraising Manager for Leeds at Macmillan Cancer Support. I was delighted to actually be invited along this evening to represent Macmillan Cancer Support. As you'll know, the evening is raising funds for Macmillan amongst other charities, so really keen to be here in person to be able to thank everyone, and also later I'll be talking about the work that we're doing in the local area thanks to the support of this group of people. We're probably most well known for our incredible Macmillan nurses, and they do a fantastic job in the hospitals and out in the community, giving that one-on-one support to patients and their families. But we actually do a whole lot more than just that. I think they're just a fantastic group. I've had the pleasure of meeting them on a number of occasions and hearing about their previous events. Unfortunately, I've not been able to come to one until now, so that's why I'm so excited about this evening. But I know that they've raised phenomenal amounts of money. They're doing it in their community. They're inspiring everyone to get involved, and I just think they're absolutely fantastic. Pretty much all of Macmillan's income is from donations, so everything that you're donating and giving to us, we're using, and it's saving and changing people's lives. Thankfully, because of your support, we've saved Cherie's life, and the money that's raised this evening will allow us to be there for even more people. Currently, in the UK, there's 2.5 million people living with cancer, and by 2030, this will be 4 million people. This is a huge number of people that need our help and support, but we couldn't do it without you. I've always been involved in fundraising, but when I was a child my mum went through breast cancer, and luckily she had successfully treated for that, but we had a lot of Macmillan support, so it's always been a charity that I've wanted to be involved in, so it's a pleasure now to actually work for Macmillan and to be able to be making a difference full time. We encourage everyone to get involved in fundraising, certainly for Macmillan as well. We know that nearly everyone is affected by cancer at some point, and then when they're going through that they need support, and Macmillan needs support from them to be able to fund all of our services. So there's so many different ways that people can get involved. So obviously Voices for Cancer are involved in a fundraising group, but there's events, activities, volunteering, all sorts of things that people can do for us, and the more the merrier. We need as much support as we can get.
Hi, my name's Nigel Gilbert. I actually resigned in Leeds originally, but I do actually live in Weymouth now, in Dorset, which is a 6.5 hour trip one way. But you know what? It's worth every moment coming to this organisation tonight. I've got 4 very close people to me that I lost in 2014, previously, and of course I lost my father to that as well. So it's important for me to have attended here and give a little bit back, really.
Oh, hello, my name's Chris Twells. I'm a cancer doctor. I'm a professor at the University of Leeds and St James's Hospital in Leeds. I've been treating patients with cancer for more than 30 years, and what we've seen over the last 30 years is a real difference. We haven't seen a single breakthrough that means we can suddenly cure all cancers. But if I look at the experience of patients with cancer 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and now, we see real differences in terms of how early patients are diagnosed, how many patients can be cured by initial treatment, if the cancer does come back, whether we can help those patients and control their cancers. So things really are changing. partly on the basis of research that we see that is happening and involves so many of the patients who are under our care. Most of the time I deal with patients who I know will die of their cancer in 3, 6, 12, 18 months' time. I hope that by what we can do to help these patients, that even though we may not be able to change what happens to them at the end in the end, that we can delay their ultimate death, that we can make the period of time that they have while they are living with their cancer better, that we can help them see the problems that may lie ahead, that we can help them anticipate those problems. So yes, at the end of our clinic on a Monday morning, we have our main breast cancer clinic, and I will see 10, 12, 15 patients, most of whom I know will not be with us in a year or 2 years' time. And at the end of that morning, I don't feel depressed. I often feel that we have really helped those patients. So the work that's been done really does make a difference. The help we get from the community is important, not only at the end of cancer that I see when people are already diagnosed, but what we've heard before, the early diagnosis of cancer, the appreciation of cancer. I know I'm a typical middle-aged man, I ignore everything, but we know that there are issues around cancer in men, especially middle-aged men, and it has to be said, men of colour, there seem to be particular issues around people seeing doctors when they need to. So we need to see patients earlier, have earlier diagnosis, better treatment and better support. And getting things out into the community, events like this, the support that events like this can give us makes all the difference. I wish I thought that we would see cancer cured overnight, but I don't think we will. What I think we really can expect to see is that we will keep away, chipping away at different cancers in different ways. And I think the best way to look at this is not to expect things to change overnight. But if you look over decades, you see that things really do change. Whereas when I went into cancer, women with breast cancer, about a half of them would be cured of their cancer. Now it's about 3/4 of them. So we really do see changes. It's not an easy game, it's not a short-term thing, but over a period of time we really are making a difference with the help of all the cancer charities and all the people who support them.
My name is Khadija Ibrahim and I represent BHI. I'm actually their youth health wellbeing coordinator for young people. And so BHI is the lead in terms of BME Cancer Voices to ensure that anyone that has any kinds of complaints or concerns or worries around this area can get a good service from the National Health, because in the past the service hasn't been as good, or they haven't been aware in terms of cultural aspects. So part of the BME Cancer Voices is to really provide a service, a more proficient service for people of colour, African Caribbean, dual heritage. And so really we should be very proud that BHI is based in Leeds and they are the lead of the organisation. I mean, they've had a number of cities across the UK being part of it, such as Sheffield, Birmingham. And so it's a real honour that at least in Leeds we can be the lead in continuing that work and becoming the voice of that.
Well, I was happy to be asked to come from the concept from Sister P, of knowing her, being part of my upbringing and being around her, and many of the people that have actually suffered with cancer are going through it at the moment as well. I'm going through it right now with friends, close friends, one who's fighting and succeeding and one who's resting. So, it kind of touched me when this opportunity came up to actually be a part of it. I'm proud of it.
It's a very good cause anyway, because in regards to just the whole thing of cancer as a disease, it affects all of us through the community, whether it affects us directly through our family members or family communities. It's a very important matter that should always be discussed at all times.
My name's Hannah. I'm a volunteer with Teenage Cancer Trust, and I've come tonight to speak on behalf of the charity. I think it's fantastic. It's great. I love that bringing loads of parts of the community together and raising awareness, and also obviously funds, really important for a few different charities across the board. It's great. I've come tonight to say a few words and just obviously to meet some people and get to know everyone. Every day in the UK, 7 young people are diagnosed with cancer. there are 2 units in Leeds, which are in LGI and St James's. So all the Teenage Cancer Trust units are in NHS hospitals, but they're fully funded by donations from the public. The St James's unit was opened in 2008, and it serves 17 to 24-year-olds. At St James, at LGI, sorry, the unit was opened in 2010, and there's 13 to 16-year-olds there. So what Teenage Cancer Trust aims to do is give a home-from-home environment to young people. We don't want them to have to be on a children's ward or on an adult's ward, because we don't think that's conducive to their treatment. So the wards are great, brightly decorated. There's a jukebox and a pool table at St James's, and it's just a really fantastic environment for those people. We sort of get involved with whatever we can, be it big events like this or smaller things such as bucket shaking, and I've been doing that for a couple of years. Hopes for the future within cancer research would be definitely trying out as many new lines as we can go with. I think it's really important, and that's definitely the step that I would want the charity to take.
Right, this is my first time here, and I was told about it by my friend here. However, we've all had losses through cancer.
Basically, I got told about it through a family friend. It's the first time I've come to this event, but like we said, we've all suffered loss through cancer, and my dad, myself, and recent as well. Yeah. So, and I think it's just a cause that we all need to attend and just be mindful of as well. I think it's important.
It's all about the awareness. That's the most positive, and to get across the awareness, because there's many people don't know how much information there is for them out there regarding cancer. Also, basically, there's communities out there who feel left aside, where basically that's where we're bridging them with Macmillan's Cancer Research, BHI, Teenage Cancer Trust, etc. We're going to take this on the road. The intention is to bridge Leeds with Sheffield, Huddersfield, Manchester and Birmingham. That's already in the pipeline. And Nottingham as well, where basically we're going to be doing the same thing but in different cities across the UK. And it's all about bridging, because you've got people doing the same thing as us, and if we can unite, they can give us something we're not doing and we can give them. And basically it's all about the fight. Hence why, if you realised, we've got doctors, professors in there, representatives from cancer companies, where they're supporting this because they see this cause as much as us, which they work in the industry, which they will do.
My name is Arthur France, MBE, and I'm the chairman of Leeds West Indian Carnival, West Indian Centre, and New World Symphony Steel Orchestra. Most people will have cancer during their lifetime, and it's important for them to be aware and voices of cancer in the community. I think they're doing a wonderful job. I think as a member of the community, I'm committed to support these issues because they affect every one of us. If they don't affect you, they affect somebody very close to you. And it's important for not walking around with your head in the sand and pay attention and listen. I'm an optimist, and I do hope they'll find a cure that could change the whole course of one's life who might be affected. Maybe because if you look back maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, the amount of people who died from cancer, they're not dying anymore because the result of the research that's been done, they are finding a way around that people could live longer with it, and if they're being caught in time, you could have a healthy life.
I will say cancer doesn't discriminate.
Get yourself checked. That's the positive message. Get checked. Though, if you feel that you've got something, not to hold it back and think, oh, well, I'll leave it to another day or I'll leave it till next week. And then the quicker you get it checked, the quicker then they can diagnose and get something done. That's the message.
With this organisation, I hope it reaches certain heights in the sense of where basically you have bridged. For every show we put on, if we save one life, that's it in itself. And we've done that already, where we've even had feedback on, for what my sister started, somebody went and got checked out, got diagnosed with cancer, and they're in remission right now. And they've actually established that on the social media, that if it wasn't for Voices of Cancer, I should say my sister at that point, making it, you can go out there is people listening. God knows where they would have been today. So if we can achieve that just once out of everything we do, that's saving a life, and nothing's more precious than a life.